okayfm 101.7.
28 minutes after 7 on the line. Honorable Reverend John Ntim Fordjour, Asensa with Mrasibejuni, Yakom Rasibejufia, Defense and Interior Committee, or your deputy ranking member. Honorable Martin.
Yeah, opinion upon the same.
Oh, Yamiadum, Pachana was where.
Yamiadum, Miss Mhepa. I'm happy Eastern so. You did say yes to anyone. No, sorry, one for feed ID, a being shabby breed, and a bar when you push your name in house.
Yeah, you better radius so man, the Banny Bewuji, and a tracy in Shira, a buyer. Honorable, I went from Eastern, Yamra, Fitenra, a Yanamu by Bessimbre. Asamua, Atuja, ya can want some. Mampeni, I suspended Chief Justice, said. On to no Kakrana committee, 5-member committee, and tonight 3 petitions are Ababa Beto Nimso. Personally, who's Anamonto you saying?
You, Minia, Wadaroma, Mitia, a tearful now. So now, Anamontoya Mampeni, His Excellency, and DM1, His Excellency, O2. A BC democracy in Trasse. Anamontua, any thinker, or didn't fall for a home. It is never a partner of Mampenia to about 6.3 million votes at the amount. As a card won't fall for a mukra. It's unsaid. Framers of the Constitution, I will send to be in Tia, one more chair, arms of government, anymore, one more can say, executive, judiciary, and legislature, they are all independent. And one man fixed tenure, and the Chief Justice said, "Sir, Chief Justice, the young bunny ding pet. Now, your man of Theodora SOD, and so I couldn't whom GMO. So, in between the coronas away, man penny for floor. Now, you're two about the Mawa. I will say, Uba, none in the Bay, Juma, the Twasso. So, Uba, now, so dear. With the personal vendetta and the politically motivated ideas and other about the Chief Justice, a free order was a Canada, very terrible for our democracy. Because Chief Justice are all in the Juma. Now, Ubaye, before have a backward 2023, so Bekaya, the campaign moon, no one penny, Mahama, Akutina Kusumu, Aka to offer a bar, or he will remove the Chief Justice. Okato and the campaign promise. But Chief Justice is so dear. And to say IGP, and as to say Chief of Defense Staff, and to say ministers, and about what the Chief Justice and to say DC, Naba, what be the open, what Pamudi or and you know, a brown cancer or no 2023, Akusumo or Bar, Chief Justice or obey you know. Now, man for fees to be a groupie nodi, or by and we'll start here. Now, petitions are back. Petitions are back, you know. A quampa else a fast one. And fast acquiring so. So, Serbia, even if there's a constitutional provision, be a Marquine say, and from Subimpu, a Chief Justice in the one, and Quine say the fast one. And then as our crime panel, one fast. Now, in the process of removing her, there have been many legal battles. People have legally challenged the process.
Honorable, speaking to constitutional lawyers, you know, what they have made us to believe in is a constitution is spelling out to say, Mampenia was so fast so etu and a mobi say, when say Chief Justice who bas Samoa, and one namso no, Wadaruma, mebao, to move moon, Sebia. A confufu bi wa constitution no aspelling out a beer and no man penia fa so kwadaro mama yehu ya na de atoto constitutional lawyers
so constitutional lawyers ya no kan yi o mo ade kire no mo kire but there are other constitutional lawyers in so one so different opinion and asem one dey court and a Supreme Court and then the entry ma court no emu ya asem no wi the court no bi asem no Because a man a day be not a court to be asked to say, one more hour, I say, watch me, a fancy say, not a court to look be asked, I, a fana, won't feel said, your company, a farmer, council, they remove Chief Justice, no, you know, we are doing. So be it. But some of the court, and can we, was it there be one train my court, the Supreme Court, no, one can of our council, no problem. Now, more for reasons for the removal and the tuja. But and say, one say Supreme Chief Justice, no, I remove terminity in Kofubi appointment in judicial service. Now, termination, a wrongful termination. And Untino, say you remove Chief Justice. Now, wrongful terminations, look at how many terminations, tens of thousands of terminations are well removed wrongfully. No, if that is grounds for removal of Chief Justice, and and also may call for impeachment. You are removing Chief Justice. Say Obia, Omo State or petition. Say near so on Kwejuma, and now administrative processes. So Omo fast so edi woman kakre bi ano Kwejuma. And most of these decisions, some were even taken some 10 years. Some of these same people say if they were wrongfully terminated, and to either be reinstated or compensated, just like over tens of thousands of employees in the public sector. You found be 6 years, be 5 years, be 3 years, be 8 months answer. Yeah, to and so Omampeni Mahama about the terminate woman, and not the say or about the remove Chief Justice because or by about pamukophobia. That is one. Two. Another reason I won't cite and say panel be almost 30 years, no more be 5 Supreme Court judges. Now Chief Justice no opinion or take it, or money no and yagani. Now we say from so edu and from so being award the decision of a panel of about 5. Or no Chief Justice in the couple. Main council you're paying for justice, but justice here, or do a two committee here, Babe Pamo Chief Justice. No more be so that same panel on this. We also having similar opinions, similar to that of the Chief Justice. But also Chief Justice is dealing and ending. That is the second reason we move STT. The third reason we move STT, and they say we're too crying. No, the Nikuno and then a back at to quarantine, a good and maso. And by the conditions of service of the judicial service, as the head of the judiciary, just like we have the head of the executive. President is the head of the executive. So to Kwanya, Serbia, we know how many people accompany him. Sometimes clearly Grano, they may be crampo and we more for presidential jets, no many other things that one more company editor. And has anybody complained about family and friends traveling with the president, whether on official or private trip? There were other heads of government agencies. We don't want to go into those things. It is well within their conditions of service. Now the Chief Justice too quiet. Now the Nikuluka home. Now the Nebaka home. Niku Bako, Neba Bako, Eka and no, they didn't see that Nuntino. I will say, you remove Nana. All the grounds are almost state in now, but who could anyone say a holy water? They are all far fetched, and your grounds are a border on the competence of the Chief Justice, and your grounds are a disputing the conduct of the Chief Justice, or you're one of the best Chief Justices. We are Fourth Republic. Until Ocean in our Swana, or more Pejana, a moon, very light. It goes to show that they are only removing Chief Justice on grounds of personal dislike. Now, anyway, the first time, a Bekakoba said, or Mampenibi, Eba being the Chief Justice, not because it be a Sabia, one you may be incompetent. And you say, be a yare and abon to me and a juma. And you say, be a sabi, what to do a jum a jemu, but simply because of personal dislike. This will not be the first one. ABS paying. 1963, Obia or kind history be a millionaire woman, but Obi or kind history be any. Their tone say Aku Kosa, the then Chief Justice. So I could take a decision be on Nemra Yemu, on the Supreme Court, na anye Omanpenino, just one of the Enuntino. That's all his removal in 1963. So President Mahama, so also CDC or the Nensa Eka, say I'm sorry, Waka. That's also CDC or the Nensa Eka, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokunua. He will not be the first president who terminating the Chief Justice on grounds of personal dislike. But personal dislike, how do you mean as well? You Chief Justice, you know. So there any achievement, Papa Bia. It is not a noble legacy. It is not an enviable precedent. And yes, me penny be Abba Pam Chief Justice be no Obia Nim Ghana, how Obia Nim say it was based on personal dislike, intimacy based on personal dislike. Petitioners said they buy and some of Mokika Kurano, Upeja, wait to be anymore. Name Faso, some personal travel, Chromo almost say 260,000 or so. Do you know how much people spend on travels in this country? Do you know how much the current appointee CP, Minister CP, do you know how much they spend on travels? What's the Chief Justice? I spend 260,000 cities in Tino on a travel to Yajuma. Not the travel memoha, not the Casa, Leo Mampeni, me at a 6.3 million. At Obama, we, Mirema, mean to name Yajuma, me Pamono, we, and Yamina me Fano, mean to name Yajuma, me Pamono. Young Kahunu said, Judiciary, no, and yet Bia, ya de politics, cool Rahu. And woman said, Judge Bia, oh, Memu Biano, President B, and appointed, no, from magistrate to district to second court to high court to appeals court to Supreme Court to Ninano, ye both dear, Omanpeni, as well, Penny Swansa. Now, so, and found won't say be Omanpeni Rollins and a foul, and Omanpeni Atamos the foul. And also Mampeni Kufado and Mampeni Kufo and Mampeni Mahama and foul. In your foul, one more a very impartial set of professional, public servants. Our moon but the Anoqueta and one the two and foul nipa of appointed one and which regime and the foul more called judiciary. And it's all balance of me, Yemen and appointed when Mrs. Sound at all costs. A politically motivated witch hunt.
Yes, honorable. Whether going forward, no, about Nubia, would they appear on Kumoboimua, Ntim Fordjour, Yaka say, personal dislike, personal vendetta, Abebe Mua. Unina saw allegation is a personal vendetta, not saying, say. Ma metoko nu de ya no de aye mampeni John Dramani Mahama nti be constitute personal vendetta and dislike here.
Personal dislike because grounds are woman de fasting na no. E na so bi ani mabobo bumi ensa so ache. Ba ko ne se wo mo se wakoye panel no ye no ono ne opinion na wo take ye no. Wo mo ne enya de ne wo ho. The same panel of five or more no. Peninfua, Omudimua, Yapa woman, judges, a committee, say, Omona, alcohol removal. Won't be sooner or that same panel now, petitioners see, and then they was some home. And the opinion now, Chief Justice Sniper Fred was similar to some of them, almost opinion. Instead of asking you or only the SS, Nidiano, and no, what the no brand answer, won't penny the Nintino, 1 grounds I would be seeking a removal, and Master 32. Sir, also, we're too quiet. We're too quiet. On any crew and then the back in the 2 quiet. And to do a boom muscle. Can I maybe say? As the Chief Justice or head of judiciary, no. Said the colleague head of legislature, Speaker of Parliament, said the colleague head of the executive, the president. Too quiet. Not a negotiation for me, no me, and so be careful. Now, depending on the nature of the travel, today, here say. The Bushia be back home, Akobuano. Master in Chia. A band is saying on no quantity the end of the day. They say a boom muscle. And I pray no. Most or you will be a or politically exposed. And I meet him say politically exposed saying judge be who come here beyond. A party be and our president be na den say Kakasia they appointed no. Either say President Kufuor, President Atamnos, President Kufuor and our President Mahama and our President Wallace. And you know say Nipano now, how does that make the person politically exposed? And you know, also entertaining such petitions, me de no yin so you know. And a mama reference me to actually say in the year 2023 now, no one may year president on the crown. Then someone could now muka, you know, a campaign face or bar. Obey each justice and nephew. A matter of public record will be our video. In all this, you know, we are a border on the competency and answer the constitutionally mandated grounds are and not and the primary facet. Emma is to the chief justice. Why is it not the personal dislike? Based on grounds of personal dislike.
Obisubeka say, where the Akamia say, Mampeni John Dramani Mahama, ne party chairman in Pennyphobi. Woman na akoyi kadiama womo ama de omuka ye ene influence honorable John Ntim Fordjour ne minority sense ade no maka dada nti de mo ye de enya
they work memunu out of the abundance of the heart.
Fantastic na me say
they work apuma asemi fi wa no ban it is you they work puma gu akuma mu no ene pa wa bo ato akuma mu se obeye no eno na wo de tudwa. And what the two Johns were buying, so no. And if a pair, Frank Coban, Frank petition, a did be a can want them. Like a ground, so no, a new man who, and new master Sabia, who can allow be few traffic, who can carpet the mamma way out, who can with the and Chay, oh, that be, with the sanity, the anyone, dear cry. Because I no can over the electoral commissioner. Many about Salato said about the photo. They are entirely two different things.
All right.
Many about Salato said, you know, or one casa, and then the deputies in me, and also on the deputies in me, and yet you and no more Mukwe Dubi. And the deputies in so by the counter friends and counter accusations, they buy as a man and also one near Yedman. Then they said, win wire. A try win why a boom brasso, win why a tiamra. Ya coca, ya car, and untino, when what time, say untwin year juma. And auditors bear more refer the Bia de Coyer and Penny Fortnite every share, one casa, a mini abas a lot of seno, the all Ketian deputies, and the deputies so air Ketiano, and almost say mono about 2 Jamagana who say, say, you know, create and so up them with you, Sabia, and there were sufficient grounds. Answer the no, and you will be a Tibet, and answer will be our body things, name Pesalato, say, as a Muntino, a quite way, a bono, Sabi, when you are so, and in your so, Nancy committee, and you know, everybody knew clearly, and the evidence is there, the docket is there, who are being grounds are. One casa quite woman bob and at the end of the day, no at the power winning the omokoi. So it is totally different in the case of Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonuni and the Mabu boss way, Sabia, a point here, maybe boss way. Then a phone at you. What they are the jury out there. One casa fountains on yes, now Umuyase. Any boom brasso. You and the year unbecoming of a chief justice.
No, maybe I say, regardless of say, one more during campaign, prior to last year's election, one more kikan, 3 petitions about. A by a man opinion taking unilateral decisions or a man opinion to or democratic powers, yet their ope. Wafa due legal processes, no so. A boy, their comma Council of State. Wam sorry I was so their brain say and who been here say or betwa Yuchomuso ama what committee honorable union in sense can semi petitions me and say the woman who do water Council of State away moon on conversations about the abase bibi in a so be womunti mampeni to us opening
petition say a public record movie okay no emo de hen and na yen so because the men kai no ne to fa bo mo anam de atudwai so bi so kai no o bi before fra chief justice ebu mra so a on fa metudwa but that kai na no e bi anyway wo nyina so ba kokura ni nyina so they are all far-fetched emu ba kokura mponi wa say the basis for prima facie also wrongful termination. How many people do you see wrongfully terminate? Within just 2-3 months, how many thousands, tens of thousands of public sector workers and Mahama and you already? By the directive given by the chief of staff, say yam mass termination. Now umusumu no be the open or interpret directive nearby. No, a bit more cry interpret the try. Terminate people who have been employed for 5 years, 6 years. Some have been who are even managers. Some they say all ranks of persons, even some in state-owned institutions. They extended the GRA, OCO NCA, OCO NEIP, OCO DVLA, NPRA. But they were terminating people left, right, and the teachers. The aircraft terminate TH3. Yeah, the pressure too almost more reverse will be validation, but nobody has called them to report to be reinstated. And on why not a petition for impeachment? Who has petitioned for impeachment? And the panel say so or you wrongfully terminated because one state petition was say one kwejuma and one kwejuma administrative processes were followed for their termination. Now, who is a wrongful termination? And your man is the faso. Because the Supreme Court, you hear people who have been unfairly terminated by organizations. Now, employers and they should compensate them. So, and in all these, say a few people be or no terminated because of one question. And you know, who now buy Nipanotin or Tinacura now on KBC, what terminated over thousands of them. So then you find you. If we are going by that logic, also politically exposed, how is she politically exposed? Also, what could take opinion be on a panel? When the opinion will take in one more happening for you, I will say, one enter and syncunia. Won't be so no what panel on this one. Also have a similar opinion. So what are you talking about? If there is any other in Yinasubia anymore, they should tell us. But if they almost say a petition in Yinasubia, or Mode Quaco Yinudia, and no in Yinasubia, that is why we are saying, say, no until the president, and they refer to Council of State as a committee, and no crown, don't now questions, the kind of composition of the committee. So, Mufanko Pamonona. So, we are president, who are doing now, can you? And they are doing now, the factor. And he said, what about Trimupo, ever 2023? Well, the Obayana Uyi, now by so, and no one Oya. Not a legal fraternity, no answer, waka. Not a civil society, answer, waka. Not faith-based organizations, answer, waka. Not a Koya, no politics. So, you're in China minority form, Kwan and Kujanonka, and Cassentia, while Brian, you and among 2 years, Mampany, 8 weeks, a day a democracy no be or say you, a day a democracy no a business traffic. Now, a need deals from Kong, Obu, Ghana, friends, a bit memoir, said a year beacon of democracy, you know, the judiciary and the independence of it, and yet the cardinal part of our democratic credentials. No, let's say about the Makwine, let's say about the Pamok Chief Justice. When you're Bonnie Bia and yet President Papa. And I'm a Sabia, Ubizu Kokase, we need the kind of president to be here. He is wrong. But the first one is CM, and yet President are not a demo, and the president to be any more buyer of Kofas Aquine. So, media may Baba Fak Kutiku and Bisudia, Chief Justice. Everybody works with their Chief Justice. Whether women are appointed or more, so who predecessors and appointed, they work with them. Until first, one more time, look every year. Then they appointed new ones. Oh, Yanisana, a said judiciary in crime because judges are all criminal. They are one of the best we have in the whole continent. One more edi mu ankasa. And they say what the politics will be removed now. He can never be on political platforms. Never political promise. Now by a wild manifesto, someone can crown. They can't say this yet. Now so the incarnate music within this short period to me. 1 year, you're not there to change. Now failure, Sabia. The here pan the chief justice remove and he disaster. Sabi, so to remove chief justice, he pamono. Not so one part of be on say the minute win na human year. Sabia, a day akumato mu bayan de bemano. Na so jai chief justice so na otwa na juma so and also Sabia, or how bain de bemano mampeni. Enun tino, to me emfa a petition saying so anyway, and 20 time baby. Sabia, Council of State there, Mayor President, not the Council of State. My father said, they one more and yet me pay for mammy. Sabi, me family town for being to be able to better the kind of money town for. And you know, may appointed Council of State, one more ever quack now. Na the me PBIA, one more ever Soviet Yamita. They didn't see that. So, Council of David, it hasn't happened. Into Mampania, or Council of State. The wapedi no ombeye de amount if you ministers example no over ministers are ombeye wapedi de amount much more the highest body of the Council of State. And you know this whole process is no a personal dislike and on they faso now when you no the money didn't crepa these are not grounds else they can say discuss it grammar front page say the barber suspend the chief justice and they are suspending on the committee be and a committee no eba be you know these things no cheating bonnet the magana and so I can agree kesi ekwenim o man pedi mahama be so goodwill no pa goodwill ni chi so ka be boa me ni chi a nanka owo ebuo ni ani die pa odosron ko na nanka goodwill over 6.3 million de mano ananka ere ni mposo nka sad ono ke betra wa kopem ne 4 years ye dia sene say nanka we done kwan kama nanka wakọ as a president obaso na first time no ankoyi amano na dodo de bufu oyawo ene bufu so to abade ti ano pamo no na ebrefo for so ya onya adofofo de ma no na kasa ado no etina wa kopem ne mfie na so but we in less than 120 days in less than 4 months the ekukoswo no it is fast eroding the goodwill of the president. Obaye, what community? Neno womu asabia heads of institutions, the politics, obia bar officer, obia the ministers, obia the CEOs, obia the IGP, obia the chief of defense staff, and you know, a bill power no mark pension. They say will replace them. No problem with that. But the excesses in some of those things, and the Egros one Obia Yasada man constitutionally defined security tenure and the framers of the constitution Timopuntia Omuye Yediatuho. Now buy O Pamono, Obaye Obia or no one adjoining, or party mono, opponents, so a MP, so a former minister, so a former appointee, then you are promoted to their tax to go national security. National security no one do a soldier for police for your operations. We don't have any group of people called national security. NIB, any phone you know. It is also sent to Fubinika, any tune and the New York attack to women, many storm to say Sabi, who declare being a buyer, and will be on Najim, a storm fee, near the custom, near the qua, the visual, 1 year a brain, a team remove pass it through processes in your appointment, over creative jobs, what community mass. And no more was it and then will be Akopom Nipaka Crabby and Ahibia, Engineer Pamono, Bonnet and Pamono. Oh, Pamo, thousands of them will be hiding, about 23,000 will be hiding. And so they be a handful, Binoa, and no Crampono, Urishimua, and Fusubi anyone, was it Yam Pamono. And Nina, and a Kikambumoa, say, or Mampeni being park as Rogi. It is fast eroding his goodwill. It is a name. So your research paper and they are determining the goodwill of President Mahama as he had on December 7th. It is not the same again.
Honorable Bakwa, concerns Bakwa, Mekate, concerns already on a pay Bako. that which has to do with asem no ebi di akwa dan Supreme Court court in determine but we see yet mampeni etu anamo EU committee say womo enhwem. Now the 5-member committee no chairman here Justice Gabriel Scott our Supreme Court judge and Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu also Justice of the Supreme Court. Lawyer Unyin says Honorable Unyin says ka asam da court no mampeni ethics committee say wo mu hwehwemu no ya de bi etiamra koma kwakoye judges a wo mu ye judges wo enemy court bi as the Supreme Court no ke bi an committee mampeni na say da bi ade de yenye legal for de anka say ye illegal kakra say betu sa na mo
bibia no also omo mu ye mpenifo all the judges there and these two judges they are judges of very high reputation. And the Bibiano, grounds not about the can be you have not been fair to them. And with the greatest of respect to them, men can be and just because one day or mampeni invitation say or mampeni smile can be so. It is they are almost civic responsibilities of mampeni smawa undumi kazo mampeni menye usmane so you can't fault them for accepting the invitation or the nomination of the president in constituting that committee. But however also no I prefer their opinion on the processes. It is by the court. It is assembly of the Supreme Court no not omo Supreme Court judges no opinion be a woman fast assembly no Supreme Court and I said yes say panel na so mo ka ho bia woman de opinion e do abeto adi me de make so atiase and yes outside it no and on be from mampeni etuni for so mampeni me Supreme Court judge na assembly aba abeto Supreme Court no ye nya kra en panel e na ye nya kan wi me kra me nim say me beto su bia na ye fa me su bi ba me hwehwe mu no entwai ntino Ntim committee on to me Uncle Kafan Mampeni. He is the president. Robia, you be a bit me, I'm sorry, Akoka, no quest answer power. No, it's not everybody who can speak truth to power in that manner because there are protocols and procedures set. Everyone know as a Supreme Court judge, you know, on to me free no out of place. So the procedure being article being or being in a so, and Akoka, Akoka, being was Aqua and Swatch. He is constrained. So can someone Supreme Court and more panel and more opinion be one. That is the platform only better. Now my Ghana for no mampeni will be who say the Supreme Court to Eka. Now say do na Supreme Court panel na one before more. Do na drink up and krum say and famra kwanswa. Then the president will be advised from that or will be guided by the Supreme Court interpretation. Now, and also are guided in the subsequent steps obeteki. Say, could we Nanka Ekoto say, panel no form no, do na dream echo say, there be a crampaswa, ena omampeni efa, and Yano, na Sakwana, and Fanakwanya. The Supreme Court has spoken. It is a no, and Yamin Ntim Fordjour, and now you will be the Krana. Supreme Court, Akasanidi, no Akasa, I want to see a little. And in the years first, I can see a train. Man can do something and so on. Man can tell me we only tell me we are not we say a benkumana in farm. Man can amphone a better than to us. But in this case, you know, they have jumped the gun. I clearly know demonstrators say they want to intimidate the Chief Justice, they want to unfairly terminate her, and they want to introduce politics into the judiciary, and it is dangerous for our democracy. And it's yes, stress. May Master we may MPP and this assem. Kwa my name may MPP and this assem. Ye ma yempeni for Krumha, Omokasa, a quetry. Yempeni for phony mam for faith-based organizations. Yes, Ramo, some brain here to toss mobile sorry waka. Some brain and the legal fraternity. Obi Bia Wakusku Akusia Woma, one thing from only the person Kokra. Until a lawyer need be on your fellow more learned, a learned friend, that now be a learned, and you be a Wako or Shamra, actually be a your friend is MPP in Tonchai. No, Kurano Yanka in the matter of this removal, the Chief Justice removal. Yes, sorry, Waka, CSOs, Sambre, NSA Casa, now Obia, diplomatic community, Sambre, NSA Casa, because there are a number of foreign countries that won't sponsor CSOs in strengthening governance. So that they are a Kabimamikabi Amembuno, a bit to me not a picture not down. They give them partnerships and sponsorship near it. This is the time they must rise up to speak because the diplomatic community needs to anchor not say yes and they Chief Justice or China Equiwi or China Equiwi at the Cockle Yasa Cramp for the constitution has in it. Anyway, sorry, I can't wait will be uncountry. The year you didn't Saka Chief Justice will be uncountry. Yeah, the Sabaka we can we and we move in Sabres or more super majority of parliament. I be the 2 voter 88 in drink or home. And the other come back the system be and no any one when they can be not a third term cry and the other boho kind of movies 1 to 1. And these are all very dangerous trends. Right. So this is the time we have to rise up. So the B air cost not a tier the democratic credentials are. In young men before Obia said the okay question beyond. Young can a or minor judiciary, any MPP judiciary, any CPP judiciary, any NDC judiciary. So Sabia, Judge Bia, Ewo, and the Kokomoti, Naso Koko to a bar, or baby or to Cody, but a pound on the Juma or ya, a Soya West Side said, or Nejume Mono, or Bedan Temu, I impartial. And that is how they've been working all this while. And you know, the sense of judiciary, Edruno, near Sanchin Sankra.
Oh, no, we are better as beyond, would you say be a democracy in a aye, and as about under threat at Unchanty, Moto Twasre, CSOs, and faith-based organizations near the other, beyond and no. Move for CC be a committee sitting, no. Be a permutations, no, move at the outright sacking a bebenti. And with statement, you can, you know, echo and the crown, and once I'm not working, say, Moto Twasre CSOs, nay, faith based organizations, no more. Wamuke Bemu diplomatic or near the didn't say, Wamu for Munim. Beyond so move for Munim reason, no number one. And it's a democracy in Ghana is under threat. We are not on China. A beer committee no more here will say, Wamu for Master query, you know. The Beban set a fry as one day you'll be able to. Quani beer committee in the best address, say, Uncle and Intina, when Yabri.
Oh, never a Fidinankas and Homo Shino. And you know, Homo Shine every year, then it's easy to predict what will follow. First, CSOs, I'm sorry, Waka. Diplomatic community, I'm sorry, Waka. The legal fraternity, I'm sorry, Waka. Now, you die as same way, say, Chief Justice, no, MPP phone, one and Kokana, say, Manua, Sabia, not a judiciary, no, and the Baby energy gem. It means that we are abandoning the judiciary to its fate. That's what it means. Because the air cannot, and yet politics or judiciary, and yet politics. Crack. So, the legislature and put the anchor, no better say politics, where MPs are pushing a speaker, and yes, but I don't put it's supposed to be seen in nationalistic view. But judiciary, and yet, Sabia, MPP, NDC in some move. And it's the highest entry money Martin to me, you know, Atnabia. And no. So what they will say, what say or mine in your baby. Into yes, this must not be MPP NDC. This must be a nationalistic fight. It must be, you know, a patriotic fight. It's a Bibia or Dogana. Now, or Dogana, democracy, Mamika beam, Pempensua, a dear tree, as yet was one. I was saying, you must say no to me, sorry. A can of credit, a dear foot you, a day at the Sadia, a day two. Sabia, I I'm not calling for demonstration. I'm not calling for to trust them. I am calling for voices, credible voices. Say, young Kasa, not that their processes not will be an MP 1 year real estate chief justice. Now, Omampeni and Kasa, you, but there's a drone. They say, before we be at your one watum, Sabia, we try to touch the Maria, only in Ambia, and you know, petition in Nassau Modibaye, say a room, say a name, and persuade, say the democracy beconing. Now, the judiciary, no uncle him, now cover politics be a emmemuno. Me mamma, I'm not one of you muscle. And the judiciary say, Mamma, Obebuame. My member and my presidency, your president, Magana, not only party for. Not my member as a president, you know, to me, acronym. You were did you say, obey audio, nipping to me, BM, and their support of buying or mine. Simple, well, we are stating, and what they are you be a beba. Now, so when is your car, you can't know when you are. Let me say, this is also the brain a bit to me. I am not calling for to trust them. I am not calling for demonstration here and there, protest here and there. Mr. CSOs, diplomatic community, the legal fraternity, well-meaning Ghanaians. Yes, sorry, Waka. Me and Fa, your name Tuga, not president, and Tina Supreme. No also on real estate. Now, our committee, I have here. There was once. Who shy as you know at the prima facie level at the Council of State. There can be everybody knows how it's going to end. Manka, dear baby, Rubiano, and something one amano, and twice in your juma, and check a clear cannon. Oh, yeah, let it perform from Ampany, SCC, dear to us, or better, or pound, maybe now the tiny cheap. I support the new person, so, my main, her ladyship, Justice Gertrude Saba. Saki Tokono, and Nejumaye, Echo Area naturally, now retire. Me Papa from Ampany Mahama, Saberno, or Baboni being now say the support. So, you know, silence a banner. That's what governance must be. 21st century governance. Silence a corner.
Honorable okayfm Bedasi.
Michelle Pa.
Your Honorable Reverend John Ntim Fordjour, Asen South, Fembrasibejani. You come to the Defense and Interior Committee or a deputy ranking member. And a teaching common. A diababe drew.
OKFM 101.7.